Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another video, and today I want to talk about the Asian Readathon for May. If you've actually been following my channel for a couple of videos, you probably already know that I actually already did an Asian Readathon. Without actually knowing this was going to happen, for the months of February and March, I actually chose a bunch of Asian-inspired books. It mostly started in honor of the live-action Mulan movie that was coming out, and I figured since the Chinese New Year happened at the end of January, I kind of just like rolled it all into one. But a really good YouTuber, ReadwithCindy, actually is doing a Asian Readathon for the month of May, so she's got a couple of challenges and just some things to look at. I definitely highly recommend when you get a chance to go ahead and check out her video.
It's a hard time for everyone right now, but Asians, we really going through it.
Maybe even, open her video in a new tab, watch her video, then come back to mine, because she definitely represents what it's all about. She knows she's an Own Voices Asian booktuber, and I'm just a white guy who likes to appreciate their culture. So first off, I wanted to go over her rules, or more like her challenges, and just kind of some things she has to say. And then I kind of wanted to go over the books that I've already read, how they kind of fit in with her challenges, and then some books I'm actually going to pick up. Because I actually wasn't planning on really participating. I just wanted to, talk about this and, talk about how my books already fit into, her challenge. But there actually was some that I kind of wanted to pick up, and then the more I thought about it, the more I kind of added to the list. So I actually really am mostly participating in the challenge and reading a couple more. So she's got about 4 kind of guidelines. There is a 5th one that, again, if you check out her channel, you'll see, but I'm only going to be really participating in the first 4. So the first one is to read any book by an Asian author. The second is to read a book featuring an Asian character or written by an Asian author who you can relate to. And the third is to read a book featuring an Asian character or written by an Asian author who is different from you. And the fourth is to read a book recommended by an Asian. So over the course of February and March, I ended up picking up Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. This is like a fresh and addictive fantasy romance set in modern day Seoul. I do have a review on that up on my channel if you guys want to check that out. This one I really ended up enjoying. This is by an Asian author. Kat Cho is actually Korean, and what I actually like is she does specifically say that she likes to bring that inspiration in, especially in terms of food. And when I read that about her profile, I was like, yeah, I completely got that. The Wicked Fox actually had a lot of really good representation of food. That's a strange word, but yeah, so I really liked the way she had the food, and actually the way she described the food made me want to go eat some. So I think actually for Valentine's Day, when I went out with my partner, I ended up getting kimchi. I think that's the right word for it. So yeah, it actually really inspired me to go out and try some Korean food. So the book I read after that was Storm Dancer by Jay Kristoff. Jay Kristoff is not an Asian author, but he did write a book inspired by Japanese folklore. This is actually kind of controversial to put on the list because most of the reviews actually say that it doesn't do representation super well. But honestly, as a white man myself who really actually wants to write a Japanese-inspired book, I do kind of want to, still give some representation to those who do try to, write outside, their normal culture, what they know. And, there is probably going to be some ignorance there. We didn't grow up with it. We don't know it super well. So Jay Kristoff is actually Australian, but like I said, Storm Dancer is all Japanese lore. And so yeah, I also have a review for this on my channel. This book was okay. Like I said, I didn't have a problem with the representation. Honestly, to me, as an Italian, I could still kind of see where maybe they were going with it. It was kind of like if, some person just goes to Italy and, Greek gods kind of interfere with their stuff and eat Italian food. It's it didn't seem super offensive to me, but maybe there were some underlying things I didn't quite understand that maybe people thought that, oh, it's just this person being generic and he doesn't understand the culture that well. So again, I may be ignorant of that, so take that with a grain of salt. But it was still pretty interesting. I didn't actually like the actual plot points. It had nothing to do with the Asian culture, but just some of the places that he took his characters didn't really work with me. So the book I read after that is The Tiger's Daughter by Kate Arsenault Rivera. Again, this is not an Asian writer, but she's actually a Puerto Rican American. And I actually really liked this book. It seems to be a mix of Chinese and Mongolian. From what I can kind of tell, it really follows 2 characters, and one of them definitely seems to sort of be based off of Chinese empress, and the other one kind of seems like the next in line of the warrior princess of like their really tribal sort of Mongolian and horseback riding, nature loving kind of people. So the book I read after that was Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. This is definitely very Japanese inspired, has a lot of great folklore. And Julie Kagawa was actually born in Sacramento. She grew up in Hawaii and now lives in North Carolina, so I really couldn't tell. I didn't see anything specifically that shows that she is of Asian descent, but her last name seems like a pretty dead giveaway, and her appearance I think does allude to some Asian heritage, so I believe that she is. And then her Japanese knowledge of like folklore seems quite extensive. So he said, I really like this book, especially for that Asian aspect. I feel like you're definitely going to get that. So this follows actually a fox spirit girl who kind of like has to go on a quest with this like demon slayer, and it's very anime centric. I feel like that's what everyone says. It's like, oh, you just want to adopt this to an anime, which I feel like as a Western audience, that's one of our main sources of consuming Asian, or at least Japanese culture, is through anime. So I feel like right there is a pretty good hint about what you're sort of getting yourself into. So the last book that I ended up finishing for my readathon was Reflection by Elizabeth Lim. This is a twisted tale, which is like a Disney series that takes Disney movies and kind of, as it says, puts a twist on it. So this one is based off Mulan. I really like this one. I said it was everything I wanted out of, a Mulan book. I feel like it made it seem like you very seamlessly went straight from the movies to this book. It's about if she went to the underworld to save Shang instead of her being wounded. It was actually Shang who like risked his life, and she doesn't want him to die, so she was going this long journey. So it was really well done. I loved being in Mulan's head and seeing that small part pretty much where she gets revealed and has to kind of deal with it and like overcomes it, which is pretty much like the end of the book. I love seeing that like stretched out. So the author, Elizabeth Lim, she actually grew up in Northern California. It says that she had this brief stint or stay in like Tokyo and now lives in New York. Her name and again her appearance definitely seems to allude to her having like Asian heritage, and she knows her lore just by looking at Reflection. Like I feel like it did a really good job. And she's, I thought this is actually really cool. She's actually a Harvard graduate in music, secondary in East Asian studies. So again, she definitely, even if she's not Asian, which I'm pretty sure she is, she definitely really appreciates their culture, and I think wrote a really good book. Well, ironically enough, she actually also wrote the book Spin the Dawn, which I feel like has definitely made its rounds through the wider community. And that's actually also based on, or a retelling of Mulan, but like completely different. It's about a girl who ends up going to the emperor and like kind of participating in this like clothing challenge. It's, I guess they say it's like, it's like Mulan meets Project Runway. And I didn't really know when I was going to get around to this, but I thought, since I already read Reflection, I like Elizabeth Lim, and that the Spin the Dawn is supposed to be pretty good, I thought that I might as well go ahead and read that too. So I am going to add that to my May TBR and use that to participate in the Asian Readathon. So one other book that I actually put on my list to read that I never ended up getting around to was Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. So I'm sure everyone definitely knows about this book. There was a movie adaptation for it, which I really liked. This is based off of Kevin Kwan and his upbringing in Singapore. So it's also supposed to be like really funny. I also like that it's a contemporary, because I don't think I have like any other contemporaries on my list. So I'm actually really excited to like pick this one up. And I decided, since I did say I was going to read it but never got around to it, I'm also going to add that to my May TBR and go ahead and participate and read in that. So it actually covers all of the books for the contest, or the readathon. So for number 1, read any book with an Asian author. That's Kat Cho, Julie Kagawa, and Elizabeth Lim. For number 2, we're supposed to read a book featuring an Asian character or an Asian author who you can relate to. I actually always have really related to Reflection, or in this case Mulan. I feel like we can all really relate to trying to hide ourselves and be something else. I think the gender stereotypes is also hugely problematic in our society. And even though I'm a guy, I feel like I've always dealt with feeling pressured to be a certain way with men. Like I really want to see a story that I can 100% relate to, and see someone who has something similar to him along, where like they expect him to do something, but it's not who he feels he should be. It's not what he feels like he should do. I'm sure there's stories out there, so if you definitely know any, for sure let me know, because that has me like really interested. So number 3, it says read a book featuring Asian character or author who is different from you. And this one I actually picked The Tiger's Daughter, because they are 2 women who are badass. Can't relate to that at all. Not badass at all. But what I really thought was interesting was that they love each other. It is an LGBT romance. They are lesbian characters. And the part I actually couldn't relate to, which I'm very thankful for, is as a bisexual man, I never really had to struggle or fight for someone that I love. You know, when I found my partner, it was pretty easy. It's like, it wasn't like always really simple, and there's always like the stigma to it, but like I never really had to fight to be with the person that I love. And so I like that about The Tiger's Daughter. So I did want to go ahead and choose that because it's not something I could relate to. Thankfully, I was very fortunate for that. And like I said, it was a really good book, and I'm actually really looking forward to the sequel. So number 4 is read a book recommended by an Asian. And that actually is going to be Crazy Rich Asians. I've had a lot of people, tell me to read that. They thought it worked really well. I thought it was like really funny. And so I did want to go and pick up that book. There was actually something that I came to a realization of, and that is that usually when we talk about Asian representation, and I don't know if actually Cindy meant this or not, but I feel like we always are referring to Eastern Asia. And also, like, I'm the same way. Like when I went to do my Asian Readathon, I picked all of these like Japanese, Chinese, like Korean books. So in honor of broadening my representation, I actually wanted to add in like a Middle Eastern author or book. So I picked out a couple from my bookshelf, and these were Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir, The Tiger at Midnight by Swati Tridala, and We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. I was juggling these 3 books, kind of deciding on what I wanted to do. I ended up sticking with Ember in the Ashes because I know that's a really popular book. It's also relatively older, and I've kind of wanted to get to it for a while. It's been on my shelf for quite a bit. It was kind of one of those books where I didn't know when I was going to get to it, so I figured I might as well do it now while I have the inspiration to go ahead and get it done. Saba Tahir is actually a American. She was born in the Mojave Desert, and she was born to Muslim Pakistani immigrants. So actually, when I ended up doing this, I ended up looking up a lot of their bios, and hers was actually really fun. She had a lot of really interesting things to say. I definitely want to give her book a shot. And so Ember in the Ashes, she does say, and she said this herself, like, so quoting her, she says, there are some North African, South Asian, and Middle Eastern influences. She included the whole region because it's about the mythology of jinns, which are genies, ifrits, and marids, supernatural beings that are often found in Arabic mythology. And apparently you find that mythology like all over the area. So I'm really excited to do that, so I did want to go ahead and include her to read as part of my Asian Readathon. So like I said, the 2 honorable mentions, The Tiger at Midnight. This one has a beautiful cover. It draws inspiration from ancient Indian history and Hindu mythology. It's basically sort of like a cat and mouse story. It's about a girl, Aisha, who apparently is like this, intense assassin. And I think she ends up sort of getting paired up with like someone that's on the opposing side. And that's pretty much all I really know about the book. The second honorable mention is We Hunt the Flame. This is apparently set in a richly detailed world inspired by ancient Arabia. This one I definitely thought was pretty cool. A lot of these, I used to do this thing where every time I bought a book, I read the first chapter of. And so I did read the first chapter of both of these books. And We Hunt the Flame I actually still vividly remember, even though I read it like months ago. So it's apparently about 2 people. I actually think it's kind of similar to the last plot of the book, but it's pretty much 2 people who I think are on opposite sides. So we follow Zafira, who is a hunter, and she disguises herself as a man, and she kind of braves like this cursed forest and able to like defeat her people. And that's what the first chapter is about. And Nasir is the Prince of Death. He assassinates people who like defy like his autocratic father, the king. And so the tagline is pretty cool. It says, people live because she killed, and she's a hunter, and people died because he lived, which is Nasir being the assassin prince. So I thought both these books sound really cool, so if they interest you, then definitely go ahead and check them out. I'm going to go ahead and throw in this quick, maybe controversial look, but I kind of noticed that with a lot of these books, they seem to kind of hit under 4 stars, and I kind of feel like this is almost... I'd be interested to see why this is. Because I feel like there are some books, like, for instance, the 2 that just came out, that are all over Goodreads, and that is the, I think, like, the Golden Chain, or whatever. It's like that newest book in, like, the Shadowhunter series. And, like, the Crescent City, which is, like, another big book by, like, a popular author who really isn't known well for, like, doing great work. So, but, like, they're rated so high. And I kind of feel like these books are probably going to be as good, if not better, but I wonder why that they're rated so much lower. I wonder if it's just because they don't have as big of an audience, so there aren't, no offense, but maybe not as many, casual fans who read things and don't critique it very harshly or don't see the problem. They're just, like, there to enjoy it. And so there's probably more of that type of audience who's more familiar with these popular series, so they end up going to those books and, like, rating it a lot higher, so it really kind of, like, cancels out a lot of the more critical reviews. Whereas the Tiger at Midnight and We Hunt the Flame and a lot of these, like, books that aren't as popular kind of get all the critical readers. So, I mean, there's nothing really to do about it, but I did kind of want to point out that I don't really feel like it's fair. It kind of sucks that, when you're looking for books and you're trying to get something that has, representation in it, most of them are rated pretty lowly. And again, I don't think it's because that they are diverse or anything like that. It's, as I explained before. And then you go to these other books by these authors who are really popular, but they probably don't write great books, probably the same quality if not worse than these other ones. It just really sucks to see. So hopefully this readathon gets a lot of people reading these diverse books, these really interesting different books, and flood to make all your reviews. So that's going to be it for this video. Let me know if you guys are also going to be participating in this readathon. Let me know what you're reading, and of course if you have your own video discussing your May TBR and what you're doing in this readathon, definitely post that below. So thanks so much, guys. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye now.